Hello and welcome to this new video about sky replacement. Today I would like to discuss with you an approach to this topic, sky replacement, that is more likely a cheat or a quick shortcut rather than a full technically correct technique. So I want to stress this out at the very beginning. This is something that it's gonna get you to a replacement pretty quickly without having to deal too much with edges. And we all know that, you know, the real problem with this type of shot is the hedges that we're gonna get. Okay, we need to treat the hedges so that if we want to comp this over this, right, we're gonna bring in a lot of brightness into the hedges of these trees and branches and leaves and stuff like that. So this technique here, or again, this shortcut here, may give you a quick result, but you're gonna lose control, and that's again what as compositor, it's something that we really don't want to lose. But if all you want is just again get rid of this white, okay, and replace it with something that is more interesting. Or if you want to combine this with a traditional keying and comp technique where you're keying the white and then treating the edges and then comping over the background, and then you want to add more detail because maybe something is lost in the process, then maybe you can, you know, use this just for specific areas that you want to restore. So to cut it short, we're gonna move from this to this in a pretty quick way. Okay, so there isn't much I'm doing. I'm just literally comping one over the other. Okay, and you know, we're retaining quite a lot of detail there. We can grade our background down, right, and we're still having a lot of detail, especially, you know, this fine detail there and here. So first let's see the traditional approach, and then I'm gonna walk you through this quick setup. It's very simple. It's just a bunch of division and multiplication and some treatment in between. But yeah, so let's see first how we are usually dealing with this type of thing, and then we see this. All right, so usually I tend to approach this type of shot by first checking the value of my my bright sky. Now again, in this case we are using a pretty low quality plate, so the value that we are reading in our sky are not exceeding 1. If, you know, usually when we are working in production, we work with high dynamic range plate, so they have value that are exceeding 1. And so if that's the case, I'm gonna try to figure out the value of my sky, and then I place a grade and I basically lower the value of the sky. So I'm reading the value in terms of color channel here till it's slightly above 1. So let's pretend that this is, I don't know, 3. Let's do it. Exposure, I'm gonna expose everything up. There you go. So now our sky is super bright, right? So what I would do is with this gain, I would try to get back to, you know, something above 1, and then I'm gonna clamp it. I mean, above 1, I mean as close as possible to 1. Okay, so that's our goal. Now we're already basically below 1 in the green and blue channel, so I would probably go something like that, and then I'm gonna clamp this, and once this is done, I'm gonna multiply that with my background. That's usually what I tend to do, and you know, it already gives us a pretty decent result in terms of fine detail and hedges. The problem is that if we zoom out, we're really we're blending all the image with the background. Okay, this bright portion there, it's actually that cloud. Okay, so that's not correct. We want to obviously keep the luminance and chrominance of our source plate intact. We don't want to just blend the two together like that. So we need to basically fix it. We need to fill in the solid area with some traditional key and comp. Let me get rid of this because we don't need it now. Once I have this as my first result, I say, okay, now I need to basically fill in everything else. So I start with the traditional approach. That is, let's pull a key, okay, and then let's pre-multiply and all sort of stuff. So we can try different key here or different key. Maybe we make key using one channel, but I go basic and I plug my luminance key here. And then I check my alpha and I say, okay, let's try to clamp my dark. So I don't know, something like that may be a good starting point. And then what I do is obviously I need to invert the polarity of this key. I see that the sky is supposed to be closer to 0, it's supposed to be black. So I'm gonna add a grade node. And I set this grade node to work just on the alpha, and I clamp the value. So here I boost up my gamma and I start to lower the gamma in my grade node. There we go. And then we can apply another grade, set this one again to alpha, white clamp. Let's clear it, okay? And we may start to boost up the black point till we are getting rid of this value. It's pretty low already, but we can push it down even more till it's basically 0. Alright, something like that. And obviously we cannot clear everything because the value of the sky is not even across the plate. So this value here are working for that portion, for this portion of the plate, but we have some leftover here and there. But okay, let's see what we have. We have this now. This is our alpha. And what we want to do, we want to, of course, copy this value here. Oops. Want to copy it here. All right. And then we pre-mult. Okay. And that's what we get. And as you can see, of course, we have a lot of bright edges around our tree. But okay, let's see what we can do. I'm gonna merge this over my multiply, and basically this is defining the soft edge detail. This multiply here is blending the edges where, again, we have the like slight or small detail like leaves and stuff like that, and this is gonna basically fill in everything else. So at the moment, if we see them together, it's really not very promising because we are comping these bright edges over this. So we're basically hiding the edge detail that we are getting with this multiplication. So what we have to do is basically erode in or chew in our alpha so that this becomes more like a core matte or a core key rather than a global, general key with a lot of soft detail. Okay, we don't care about the soft detail because this multiply here is already taking care of that. We just care about filling in the rest. So what we can do is apply an erode node here, and that's what we get straight out of the box basically. And if I open up this erode node, we're basically eroding in the wrong direction. Right now we are showing the original sky, right? We want to erode in, so chew in and reveal this. Basically, we want to basically reveal these soft edges and just fill in the core. So I need to go in the other direction. And I'm gonna go, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, and you see that if we just check our pre-multiplied image, we're really just, comping a very disgusting blob. But because of this multiplication here, everything is blending in fairly well, and we can just plug a blur and soften a little bit these edges. Okay, and this may be one approach, okay, one way of dealing with this type of shot. And we're not done yet, honestly, because inside, if I check here, you see that we have all sort of bright dots that are coming from the source sky, the original sky, and for this specific background we may not care that much. It's blending fairly well with the background, but with different sky, I have other example here, that may be a problem. Now, an alternative approach to this, instead of multiplying our sky with our background, let's get rid of the erosion there, we may just try to pull our key, okay, as best as we can, and just comp this pre-multiplied plate with our sky. And then what we need to do is pre-treat the plate before applying the pre-multiplication. So we're basically using the same alpha that we are creating. Okay, let me make a little bit more space. Oh, there you go. So we're basically plugging a grade here and using this as our mask. We're gonna invert this mask. All right. And I basically start to gain down. And you see that by doing so, I start to reveal more of the soft edges there. Okay. And obviously I want to go more inside, so I need another erode here. And I want to go, well, the direction is correct, so let's go in this direction like that. And then I need to blur it a little bit. All right. Something like that, and maybe I went a little bit overboard with this gain down. So, we start to reintroduce some detail, but it's definitely not as good as this thing here. Okay, in terms of amount of detail. I'm using a different sky, sorry, so let's use the same background. So if we check this and this, well, this one is definitely giving us more detail, and again with the advantage of being fairly quick. It's just literally plugging stuff and playing with this gray node here, as we're gonna see in a moment. Again, I'm not saying that this is better than this one. I'm just showing a traditional approach that I usually follow and an alternative that can be combined. So let's say that maybe I want to stick with this one because it gives me more control, meaning that I can, play around with this. I may want to gamma down slightly. I may want to erode a little bit more, right? And I can do the multiply trick as well with this. So I don't have to get rid entirely of this multiplication. I can still multiply here my foreground with the background, and I'm restoring quite a lot of detail. So I can play around with different techniques and get the most out of them. But let's say that for whatever reason I'm not choosing to use this multiplication. Well, now I know a different one that can be somehow combined, maybe using a key mix. Okay, so I can combine this, okay, just in the area where I need it. So let's say that I want to restore more detail there. I can just draw a quick mask like that, and I need to blend it. Of course, there is a slightly difference in terms of luminance of my sky, so we need to take that into account, and we can compensate for that. Okay, I can use this grade here to potentially, level the sky so that they are balancing out evenly. But you see that, we're basically just adding detail where we need. Okay, so let's finally see this setup here. It all starts with our plate with a nearly white sky. This is working with plate that have a very bright sky. In other words, a decent contrast between the foreground and the background that we are attempting to get rid of, to remove, or to replace. So let me turn off this very quickly. From this side we have our plate, from this other we have our background, and what we are doing here is basically a division. We are dividing our source plate by our background. And we get this weird result where our sky is extremely bright. But if I start to gain down the viewer, we can see that the clouds, the new sky, begins to blend with the real sky, right? We're not done yet, of course, so the next operation is a multiplication. We are multiplying this result by the background itself, okay? And technically speaking, we are restoring the same source plate. So this and this now are identical. But we have these nodes here, okay? So these nodes here, this is just basically a key and a grade node, okay, are revealing the sky behind our trees, right? So what we are doing here is basically extracting a matte of our sky, right? It's a little bit convoluted. We literally don't need all these nodes. We just need, you know, a keyer and, you know, potentially just this grade. We don't need to invert it. So I put too many inverted, don't know why, but we basically just need the key for the sky. And this grade here is revealing the sky behind, okay? And I can play with this grade node, okay? Keep in mind that it's behaving a little bit weirdly, okay? Because we are basically changing value before performing a division. So it's literally going in the other direction. You see that if I gain up, actually my sky is becoming darker or more washed out. So if I want to introduce more brightness, I need to go the other way. Okay, and if I want to introduce more contrast, instead of going down with my gamma, I need to go up. So it's basically the other way around. But the interesting thing is that if I compare now this with this, we are literally just swapping one with the other. Okay, so we literally have a lot of those detail there, right? Now, of course, there is a limitation. The sky that we are replacing this with this, it's not too far from the source plate. Okay, yes, it has more clouds, it has more contrast, but it's not an entirely different sky, okay, with different color as this one. Right, we're going to see how it looks with this, and it's not going to look very pretty. We can, you know, change for another sky and, you know, same result. Right now, let's see how it looks with this, you know, completely different sky. Okay, so if I plug it here and we see the result, that's what we get. And, you know, if we zoom in, it's not really a pretty result. We may play with our key. Okay, this is the key, the sky key that is driving this gray node here. All right, so we may play with both to see if we can improve it. Okay, but we're also losing the look of the sky, so we need to find the right balance between blending it properly and losing the look of the sky. Now I'm just playing randomly with our parameters here, but I'm not seeing a very big improvement. And of course, as soon as I start to increase my gain, that is actually making everything darker, we are revealing more of the original, more of the background as it's supposed to be, but we're also introducing some problem here. So at this stage, I think that we can jump back to the traditional approach and maybe combine the two, but it was just to show you that there is limitation. It's not just It's not magic, of course. That's pretty much it. I hope that this was somehow helpful and that you learned something new. And I hope to speak with you soon. Bye bye.